Coventry's winning run came to an end at the hands of Southampton.
There was 3 teams coming into this weekend who I'd have loved to have faced: QPR, Preston and Bristol City.
Bristol City out of form, really struggling. And that late equaliser is like someone took a needle and popped their balloon.
Not only is it a terrible game for them, but Blackburn win, Oxford very, very nearly win, and West Brom seem to be, showing signs of life.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Sportsman Untitled, brought to you by Betfred. Today I'm joined by Benjamin Bloom and Justin Peach from the Second Tier Podcast. Now, a lot to get into today, guys, and we should start at the top because Coventry's winning run came to an end at the hands of Southampton, Ben.
Yeah, I suppose big picture, if you'd have said to Coventry fans 7 games ago, you're going to lose to Southampton, but you're going to win the 6 games before that, I'm sure all would have been. Well, I think we've seen with Coventry a little bit maybe in the head-to-heads with certainly in the games against Ipswich. They've been quite open. Obviously beat Middlesbrough though, didn't they? And they do give you a chance at the CBS to score, but what was it, 14 wins in 18 sort of prior to that. But Southampton are in rare old form, aren't they? I guess more like an annoyance. We're going to talk about Middlesbrough's sort of home form at the moment. More an annoyance for Coventry than any kind of crisis. And I'd say exactly what I said last week. I think three more wins and it's over the line, isn't it?
Yeah, this was a difficult game for Coventry. Southampton came and I thought were a superb away performance. They were making dirty tackles, doing a bit of time wasting.
Extra midfielder and Grimes literally named by Eka as well. That's who we're going to stop.
Played a 4-1-4-1 and just kind of nullified Coventry. I was really impressed. Unbeaten in 12 now for Southampton and really coming into form at the right time, Justin.
Yeah, it's a perfect time. I mean, considering they've been really good in Tondereket generally. They had a bit of a wonky spell midway through sort of winter. But how they've really started to perform and kick up a gear has been tremendous. I think the goals that they're scoring, they're taking their chances really, really well. Losing Adam Armstrong, I say losing Adam Armstrong, they're quite happy to sell him. But the fact that they've been able to cover those gaps quite nicely has been positive, and they're rotating between Ross Stewart and Kyle Larin. I think that's really helping them as well because that's keeping one of the best forwards when he's fit in Ross Stewart. So I think with that, it's a tremendous run of form. Tondereket as well, doing a number on Coventry. Tactically, he was spot on, as you mentioned.
No Cienza at the weekend either.
Exactly.
Really good.
So it's being able to get players in and cover those gaps, and they've got a deep squad, good squad, and it's rolling on.
Yeah, it's been really good from Southampton. It's 9 points now between Coventry and Ipswich, now in third place. 8 games to go. It does feel like Coventry need just a handful of wins to get over the line, but from my point of view, the blip happened before the 6-game winning run, and this doesn't feel like that. This just feels a bit like a one-off. The other thing I want to mention is, as you've said, is Coventry's performance against the relegated Premier League teams. I think it's 1 win, and that was against Leicester at home. It feels like the squad depth and things still kind of get the better of this Coventry team right now.
Played them all now, though, haven't they?
Played them all now. Played Millwall. We only need to play Hull in the top 6 and Wrexham.
Key thing from a Coventry point of view, I'm sitting there with my popcorn and my feet up. Ipswich, Millwall, Middlesbrough, Millwall, Ipswich, Middlesbrough. They're all going to, one or other or both are going to drop points in all 3 of those games, which makes you think. You keep talking about the Sheffield Wednesday voucher for Coventry as well. 2 wins and 2 draws might do it rather than the 3 wins. We'll come on to it. I kind of feel like you've got Coventry there, then like a group of 3, and then I wonder if Hull are going to join the next. I realise I'm treading on your next segment,
no,
but that's the way I'm kind of seeing that top 7. Like, we'll see what Derby do tonight, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. We are filming Monday, of course, before the Derby game. Middlesbrough, Bristol City, Justin. It felt like a massively important game for Middlesbrough to win. Yeah. Bristol City out of form, really struggling. And that late equaliser is like someone took a needle and popped their balloon.
It was a big crowd as well, 34,000 at the Riverside, which I've not seen a crowd like. Yeah, I've not seen a crowd like that for a while. And for that to happen in the way it happened as well, because Borough battered Bristol City. There was 3 teams coming into this weekend who I'd have loved to have faced. It was QPR, Preston and Bristol City, because their form's been awful, conceding goals. And the way the game went from a Middlesbrough point of view, they've only got themselves to blame. I really do feel for Kim Hellberg as well, because what else can he do? Because his players are getting into good scoring positions, but they're not putting those chances away, and that's why their home form of late, four games without a win, has been underwhelming, and that's ultimately that can be the decider in them dropping out of the automatic promotion race. But for this game in particular, for them not to come away with 3 points, I think is it's really, really poor because they had the chances to win it.
I'm a bit surprised that Cali Sen's not been given more of a chance, given his... I've seen bits of him and been quite impressed, and yet he's the one who's not really getting any minutes at the moment.
Yeah, it is kind of strange. I mean, Tommy Conway's work rate gets him into that starting 11. It's not his goals, is it? Because he's not scored enough this season. And David Strelic has looked sharp at times, but he's never really convinced me. So I do agree with you that I'm surprised that Sen's not been in, but he's going to get a chance now because the chances that, Strelic had a great one-on-one, which was he hit it straight at the goalkeeper. It was really, really poor. So, yeah, I'd be surprised if he didn't get a chance now.
And the disparity, I think at the moment, my little working theory with Middlesbrough is that they're far better away side than home side. And I wonder if that kind of tetchiness of the home crowd and the big crowd is maybe playing a bit of an impact on their performances. We've seen them drop points at home to Leicester, Oxford, now Bristol City, 3 pretty poor teams in the Championship. And yet away from home, they went and hammered QPR with brilliant performance and beat Birmingham as well. I think they're a better team away from home now.
It's not like they're a bad team
at
home, is it? I mean, I've got here, they've conceded 1 shot on target. They've had 69% possession for 19 shots and 2.5 XG. So I know, clang in the comments. The scoreline's the most important thing. Well, it's not the only important thing. It's the most important thing. But they're making lots of chances, most touches in opponents' box in the league. I don't know how you guys feel. I know we sit here on these shows every January, and it's like transfer window. We need a striker, and you did a segment about goals being distributed around different players and wingers and whatnot. I am hearing from Middlesbrough fans, January, there's not strikers going round, I know, but was that the time? Did anyone land I suppose the guy who's gone into Blackburn's got like 5 goals. Jorgensen.
Did Larin join Southampton?
Yeah, that's true. So people, so you're right. People did sign strikers, and I'm hearing from back. Do you guys agree with that? Are they going to look at that as a mistake?
I know wouldn't have happened, but if you put Latte Lath in this Borough team, you're laughing.
Yeah,
you're Latte Laughing.
It's a Gab Sutton.
It's terrible.
It's absolutely terrible.
I'll admit it.
It's stunning header though, wasn't it, for the equaliser? I thought it was superb.
Yeah, I saw someone on social say what's special about the header, and it just made me think that the art of heading isn't what it used to be. But that was tremendous.
Can I just make a point, Justin? Adam Randell put in the best cross I think I've seen all season in their game against Watford for Twine, and then he might have done both bits of the ultimate David Beckham, Dwight York combination, mightn't he?
No, it was a brilliant header. The way he comes in late and the way he jumps is fantastic. It's what heading used to be, if you want a bit of nostalgia. But it was a wonderful bit of chaos. Radek Vitek's up there getting manhandled by Aidan Morris, and then the carnage after was beautiful. It was brilliant.
It is superb celebrations in that way. And so I actually turned out for Coventry and then battle with Middlesbrough. They were better off Bristol City equalising than scoring themselves, mathematically. If that makes any sense to anyone watching, Anyway, it does make sense. I promise you.
Simon, quickly, just on the Borough home games, Millwall next. Pompey could be awkward. I mean, Pompey are less low blocky, but they'll make you defend when they do attack. Sheffield Wednesday they've got at home, and then Watford, which doesn't necessarily feel like obstinate, stubborn opponents. So are they kind of out of the woods with the...
I know look at their last 3. You'd have said Leicester, Oxford, Bristol City at home.
But
9 points.
we're at that point now where Oxford is blooming awkward. Leicester are just taking Gary Rowett, and there's another one down the bottom who they drew to. I can't quite remember off the top of my head in this.
It's the low block teams. It's the low block teams who are going to come and defend for their lives, and that's what they've done, and that's what they've come and got a result, and that's been awkward. So maybe coming out of this section of games, which on paper should have been easy 3 points in each one.
Charlton, sorry, was the one I forgot. Yeah.
But they've come out of this awkward set of games, which again on paper doesn't look awkward, but maybe they turn around and go, actually, these games coming up are probably going to be a bit easier for us.
And can I say, Swansea versus Middlesbrough at Swansea is probably aesthetically the best game of football you can get in the Championship at the moment. So they'll probably really enjoy that one and win it 5-3 or something, won't they?
Should be a superb game. Millwall Blackburn, I mean, one of the most entertaining games of the weekend, I suppose, with how it finished. Millwall 1-0 up, creating chances. And then we have to talk about this red card, Justin? It's not a red, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, it's Zach Sturridge going away from the goal. I don't need to over-explain it, but there's 3 recovering players. It was just one of those decisions where you go, hang on a minute, there's a poor one. Weirdly, there was 3 of those this weekend with Charlie Hughes at Hull and Suriki at Sheffield United, but this one was the most obvious one where you just go, that's not a red card. It's not a red card all day. It's
I
really
don't even
poor.
know how much contact there is, to be honest.
No, I was going to go with that. I'd argue about the Dogso side of it, and then I had Millwall fans saying, never mind the Dogso, is it actually a foul? I interpret the Dogso law as, is the player going to have a shot? And it's really difficult because people often freeze it as the player's falling over and the recovering guy's kind of beside him, and I'm like, well, would he be beside him if he hadn't gone down? But then all the Millwall fans said, is it a foul in the first place? So I slightly disagree on the Dogso side, but I maybe agree, is it actually a foul?
I think there were a few decisions this weekend where I just don't think the punishment matches the foul. And I think
that's an IFAB issue, not an EFL issue, isn't it?
Yeah. There are a few other decisions this weekend, but I mean, let's start with Millwall's goal. What a finish from Kundor. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that in the Championship. And I thought they were pretty good for the majority. Even when they went down to 10 men, they created a few decent opportunities. And then Jorgensen comes off the bench, game turns, and again, life is sucked out of the den, Ben.
Yeah, and you have to do this in this relegation battle where it's not going to be 45, it's going to be 48, 49. If you get a chance, even if it's away from home at Millwall, who are superb at the moment, you've got to go and win. And, Leicester are going to be the big victims when we talk about relegation this kind of weekend. But we already mentioned Jorgensen. You brought in a player in January who's had an impact, which is all anyone wants in that difficult market. And when the ball is over the snooker pocket at the moment, you've got to stick it in. And fair play, they kind of went for it, Blackburn, didn't they? And smelt blood and could have ended up losing by more. You saw the Aziz possibly, don't know whether that's a foul or not. But I think you get to the point where if there's been an iffy decision up one end, you want an iffy decision up the other end to kind of make up for it. But yeah, fair play, Blackburn, red card or not red card, you've got to leverage that advantage, and they did.
I think they were superb as well. Millwall, with these 2 away games coming up, which we've talked about for ages, it's Ipswich and Middlesbrough. They would have seen Blackburn at home as quite easy prey, you'd have thought. What do we think of the promotion race from a psychological perspective now in terms of Middlesbrough dropping points, Millwall dropping points, Ipswich winning at Sheffield Wednesday, which we'll come on to in a minute.
What I found very intriguing is Alex Neil, after the game, was speaking about the pressure getting to the players, which I was quite surprised that he spoke so publicly about it, because as a player, I don't really want my manager
He's always pretty straight down the line in his presses, to be fair to him.
That's bang on it, I admire him for it. But in a promotion race, you need a little bit of protection on your players, and I just think
Stop telling the truth, Alex.
Yeah, in that moment, I just feel like he probably, I wouldn't say let them down, but he probably could have chosen his words a little bit better.
And maybe expect that with like 3 games to go.
Yeah,
8 games to go is sizable, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think in the context of the next couple of games coming up as well, you need the pressure to be not be
this
there.
This is new for Millwall, though, Justin.
Exactly. But it's not new for Alex Neil, who's been in this situation with Norwich, and he's been knocking on the door with Preston. So I thought I would have maybe expected a little bit more. Maybe I wouldn't say the pressure's getting to him, but the pressure's there. You can feel it at Millwall, and the next 2 games is going to decide whether they get in the top 2 or not.
We will see how important experience it is. Talking of that, Kim Hellberg and Borough not used to be in this situation, Millwall not used to be in this situation, Ipswich have been in this situation. Wasn't that pretty in terms of 0-0 at half time with Sheffield Wednesday, but they did get the job done. Quick word on this one, Ben.
Yeah, I know we're going to go talk a bit more about Ipswich and Millwall later.
Later in the week, by the way. Sportsman Untitled Extra. We're going to do Millwall versus Ipswich. Stay tuned for that one.
We said on the Always Excellent Blue Monday podcast that fans go into these games and say, give me a scruffy 1-0 win with a clean sheet now and I'll be happy. And yet they're not happy when that's exactly what happens. Ipswich have just come off the back of 7 games in 21 days. Yes, they've probably got the deepest squad in the league. Don't hate the player, hate the game. We've said that all season, haven't we? And it was going to be a squad game. Go to Sheffield Wednesday. If you have to win it after 65, if it has to be Akpom and Kayust and whoever else came in to end the game, then so be it. And I know we can talk about another mammoth away run of games in April now for Ipswich. Now the Southampton game's been rescheduled and the Pompey game's been rescheduled. I just think that was what was required at the weekend. And yeah, we'll talk more about it later in the week. It feels like Ipswich have been both very lucky at the weekend with the results and then quite unlucky with a couple of penalty calls, and then Leif Davis gets suspended on Friday. So it's been a bit of a chaotic week for Ipswich. To come out of it with a net gain 1 point across the week over Middlesbrough, happy days. Saturday could have been a lot worse.
Game in hand always feels important in this situation. How are you feeling about Ipswich's promotion? We've said all season pretty much across the board, we think they're averaging a good amount of points. Their performances haven't been exceptional. They've not strung together a Coventry run of wins or even a Borough run of wins, really. But they are still there. They're like the horse in the pack, ready to strike.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I mean, I was ready to be really critical about this win over Sheffield Wednesday, but the way you put it, Ben, I think it's quite bang on. It's a lot of they played a lot of games.
I am also subconsciously biased, apparently, according to the comments.
True, but you've made
to give credit to Sheffield Wednesday, they have been really competitive in games. Yeah. Even though they've lost a lot of them, they obviously drew with Watford and should have beaten them. They've been more competitive than I think we imagined they could have been.
Yeah, and you've got to account for that. But also, I think the fatigue issues are a thing, although McKenna does rotate his squad. But the league's not, or you're not going to get promoted in this game. It's the away games with Borough and Millwall, the games with Borough and Millwall that are coming up.
Justin, this felt like 2026 McKenna. You know that game in 23-24 would have been 3-2 to Ipswich.
That's a really good point.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah,
and he was saying, we didn't want to lose this on a red card or a penalty. Yeah. Stay in the game, let the subs do the work. It's very pragmatic. It's not 23-24 swashbuckling Jeremy Sarmiento in the 90, 100th, 115th minute or whatever winning the game. But to come back to your point, if Middlesbrough beat Ipswich by 1 point to promotion, this is down to Rob Edwards in the first 4 games of the season. There's a 9-point swing there. For the rest of the season, Ipswich have been better than Borough.
So you're saying Borough fans in the comments need to thank Rob Edwards with all their heart and gratitude.
They'll have to. If you take the first 4 games out of it, Ipswich track really, really nicely and have been better than Borough points-wise. It's a weird irony, but that will be where the promotion's won. Yeah, go and check your tables in your first 4 games of the season. Borough got 12 points, Ipswich got 3.
And Ipswich will obviously experience a churn, and that's probably the reason for the slow start.
I'm not allowed to say
season.
that.
No, I am, though. I think arguably the biggest result of the weekend, Justin, was West Brom 3, Hull 0.
Yeah.
West Brom now out of the bottom 3. And they've actually quite quietly put together a nice little run of 3 results. I think it was a 1-1 against Sheffield United, a 1-1 against Southampton, which they should have won and conceded late. And then this 3-0 win, and obviously the red card came into play as well.
Yeah, the red card came from West Brom pushing Hull into that position of awkwardness where Charlie Hughes has got a difficult decision to make. But they were really good here. I think it was the best performance of the season, and they've saved it until sort of a couple of months ago.
Bar.
Yeah, it is a low bar. You bang on. But I thought they were tremendous from start to finish. The way they were attacking, there was overlapping runs. Not really seen that from West Brom, especially not under Eric Ramsey. So the way they went about things, there was just a hunger and a drive there. I mean, against Sheffield United, getting that draw with George Campbell hitting that screamer, it felt like there was a mentality shift because the week before against Oxford was really bad, really, really bad. And obviously, I think in the context of Southampton scoring late in midweek, you'd have thought maybe the confidence is down again. But actually, the way they came out, first 15, 20 minutes, they really set the stalls. And Hull are a good side away from home. I know they've had a bit of a wobble. They've won 8 and 10, I think. It's something ridiculous away from home. They're a really, really good side. And they made them look comfortably second best. It was a really good performance.
And again, we talk about psychology a lot at this stage of the season, out of the relegation zone. And the Championship's full of late goals. We will come on to Charlton's equaliser at Oxford. How are we feeling about West Brom now? It's looking brighter from a little 3-game spell already.
It's the first signs of life we've seen, which we needed to see, because we kind of thought Gary and Leicester that, okay, that's moving now. Oxford have gone, nuclear, haven't they? And the point spike is ridiculous. And what did Cloughy say? Football is a complicated game, a simple game. There you go, I can't get a quote right. Complicated by idiots, evidently like me. But 4-4-2. You got 3 decent strikers there in DK and Hegger, Bow and Madger. Play 2 of them. And I quite like James Morrison's interviews. They're so... He reminds me of Paul Scholes. They're so straightforward and just down the line. He's like, well, we had to try some different stuff, get the ball into the front guys and try and score some goals. And that feels front foot and aggressive and, proactive, so to speak, doesn't it? And yeah, you're right to point out the opponents this week is key as well, because not only have they rallied against Southampton, who are excellent, and Hull, who, as you rightly point out, are lethal away from home. If you get that wrong, they just beat you, and you're like, where did that game go? How have we lost that? Yeah.
Are we growing concerned about Hull City? It's 3 defeats out of their last 4 games now. Although the win did come at Wrexham, which was massive. They are the team that you feel may be able to slip out of the playoffs when you're looking at Wrexham flying, Southampton absolutely on the charge, even Derby in with a shout.
Yeah, I was looking at points per game, and I've got Hull finishing below Southampton. And I think in the context of Southampton being unrelenting on the Tonderecker, that's the worry. I think Wrexham might just be fine generally, but Hull are the ones you got to look at and go, okay, they can drop out. And maybe, well, importantly, it because things are fluctuating quite a lot with Hull at the wrong time. They're not as consistent throughout games. We talk about their XG busting performances. I mean, Derby should have battered them at the MK, and we've had a couple of more results where Hull have somehow managed to win.
They were really good against Millwall, weren't they?
Yeah.
And created loads of chances and then lost it.
Exactly.
So it doesn't make any sense, XG in Hull this season.
Well, exactly. They've it really just make you raise your eyebrows and sort of go, how have they not won that, or how have they won that? You're asking those sort of questions. And really, when you're in that position, performances aren't consistent. And unfortunately, that's where the data comes in. If you're consistent, you're sustainable, and that's where your form can
just as a few awkward. I know they've got Sheffield Wednesday next. Got to go away to Oxford, which is just no fun at the moment. Then they've got Coventry, who are going to be possibly very close at that point if they get a couple of wins back to back. Away Sheffield United, they've got to face Birmingham. Away at Leicester, 3 games from the end, that's not going to be fun at all. They are going to be 18 men behind the ball trying not to lose that game. The only saving grace here, maybe for Hull, is I don't think Charlton and Norwich might have a lot to play for on the last 2 games, although Norwich with nothing to play for can still go there and win the way they're performing, can't they?
I think chance concession and goals concession is just a massive issue for them. They've got a +3 goal difference in comparison to Wrexham 10 and Southampton 12. Mm-hmm. They've conceded 56 goals this season, which when you go down the table, they've conceded more goals than West Brom.
Yeah.
That you can't.
That has tidied up a bit in the second half of the season, hasn't it?
It has, but I'm just not sure if you start conceding goals again and things go against you. I just feel underlying statistics will eventually play their part.
What's going to happen here? The better the argument you make for a whole downturn, the better the whole upturn that's about to happen is coming. On. So they have been superb, haven't they, at proving us wrong all season?
Absolutely. Oxford 1, Charlton 1 we'll touch on quickly as well. Oxford 10 points from 4 games, maybe could have been 12. I've just been so impressed with them under Bloomfield, Ben. I think they were out the relegation zone at one point on the as it stands table, dropped back into it, but they've given themselves a real chance of getting out of it.
I mean, yeah, they were gone for me a few weeks, probably 4 games ago if we kind of add it up. And I mean, Matt Bloomfield he did get a spike at Luton. It's not fair to say that he didn't points-wise, but it's a race, and he didn't win the race. And what did 49? I think they dropped with.
Were they not towards the end of the season? Weren't they the 3rd best team in the Championship?
Points-wise
for a spell.
Yeah, and I remember them possibly beat Leeds or draw against Leeds in the running or something like that. And they were moving very, very nicely, weren't they? And again, we said the same about West Brom, didn't we? Just be aggressive. First 25 minutes, they're, like a whirlwind, aren't they? And just unapologetically get Brown and Hellick in the box, get the set plays in, dribble, run forward, pass forward. Again, it's not complicated stuff. It feels like if good sides can defend properly for a first half against Oxford and, don't go under, especially at the Kassam, then... Oxford might lose some games, but fair play. I did not expect them. And also, Simon, it's not just where Oxford have got to, it's the squeeze. And I know we've got Pompey playing tonight, but not only are they 1 point off safety, but they're only 3 points off Blackburn, 3 places above them. So we always say that you fish in a bowl, you want a few to aim at when you're Oxford, not just like one team to try and surpass.
They could have done with Blackburn not beating Millwall away, and all the teams at the bottom were probably frustrated with that result. Yeah, massively impressed with Oxford here. And Charlton, actually, we should mention them quickly because I think they're only a handful of points off safety now. Newly promoted League One team, and Nathan Jones done a superb job.
Yeah, I mean, it's finally got going. The lack of goals has been a real problem. I mean, Lyndon Dykes, I think, was a smart capture, but he's not prolific. And Miles Leeburn's had a bad season. And obviously, Charlie Kelman's not really got going. Matty Godden's barely been available. So it's been a long season, but they'll be glad that there's this run of forms come at the right time. In Connor Cody being a maestro at centre midfield. I mean, who saw it? It's like 2011 all over again, right? It's mad. But him coming in, I think, having that leadership element has really helped them as well.
That 13 clean sheets will really help you as well, won't it?
And their home form's pretty solid as well. We have to talk about Leicester City, who are shockingly 23rd in the table now as we look at it, Ben. We thought this would be a relatively good home game, given they'd won against Bristol City, was it, in midweek? And then they've lost at home to QPR after going 1-0 up and Jordan James scoring a fantastic goal. It's looking so bad for them right now.
This is why we have to try and pay attention to trends. It's difficult for us because it changes every week. We thought we had a trend for Leicester, a couple of good draws. They were stubborn, took a point at Portman Road, where Ipswich had been excellent, got the fabled clean sheet after 31 EFL games or whatever it was. And then not only is it a terrible game for them, but Blackburn win, Oxford very, very nearly win, and West Brom seem to be, showing signs of life. And the big worry for me is the fragility. They had no resilience. That was the problem. If Leicester were in trouble in any game, they ended up losing it. And they're in front. You got, I know we joked, James or Fatawu or Reed will score and they'll be all right, is what's going to happen. Ball over the top and Vale scores. I know Nelson's got to play the ball, but it's an own goal nonetheless. Then a free header from a set play. And that is the absolute worst of Leicester this season, just kind of collapsing under a little bit of pressure. And if you think there was pressure in that game, what do you think when they looked at the table after and saw all those results coming in? Really bad weekend for Gary and Leicester, wasn't it?
The goals they conceded, as Ben just touched, I just cannot believe how bad the goals they conceded were. Against QPR side, by the way, that haven't looked very good in the last few weeks and probably didn't have much confidence themselves going 1-0 down. Yeah,
Leicester threw the game away. There's no other way of describing it. They're one of these teams that we mentioned that they can capitulate really quick. And the goals that they conceded, as you mentioned, the ball over top, it's a nice ball, but I think being done in 2026 with a ball over the top is pretty bad, pretty bad. And then the own goal. But I think the reaction from conceding, there wasn't one.
One goes to 3, Justin.
Yeah, exactly. But there's still a good amount of time to try and get yourselves back in the game, and there just wasn't anything. And that's why Gary Rowett came out after the game saying he needs to start picking players he can trust. And yeah, when you're saying that, 6-7 games into your regime, it's not good.
Watford, Preston, Sheffield Wednesday, that could be worse for the next 3 though, couldn't it?
It really could, but if they're losing home to QPR, there's no guarantees on any place, no matter the opposition. Yeah, worried about Leicester and what they can do. I think Jordan James is going to be massive if they are going to stay up. I think more than Fatui maybe for the rest of the season. He's absolutely massive. I know Portsmouth are playing tonight against Derby, but are we a little bit concerned about them, Justin? Just based on the table, they're now, as Ben said earlier in the show, 1 point outside the relegation zone. 2 games in hand, very important to mention that, and their home form has been reasonably good. But if they lose tonight, they're getting caught a bit, aren't they? Yeah,
they are. They're a bit of a strange side. I mean, they're heavily reliant on a bit of spark in the wide areas because Colby Bishop, bless him, he's had a really bad season, goal scoring wise and taking shots and everything. He's not been on form. I think Ibu Adams, if Portsmouth stay up, has been the signing of the season because he's transformed that team massively. So too is Nick Ali as well. He's been fantastic. Yeah. Not sure why Luton allowed him to go, but there we go. It's Portsmouth's gain, and I think that's where the sparks come from. But not saying they're relying on 2 players, but they've got to be more players contributing. And obviously, Josh Murphy's out for the season, which is problematic. So there's a significant, quality gap starting to form. But what Portsmouth do have is a lot of endeavour and a lot of resilience and a lot of grit, and they can see themselves through.
And head-to-head you wanted to point out against Oxford coming up.
At Fratton on Easter Monday. One thing Portsmouth also do have that most of the bottom sides don't is a manager who's been there for a long while and some continuity. And Blackburn don't, West Brom don't, Oxford don't, but the new one's performing very well, and Leicester don't, but the new one's very experienced. But there's a lot to be said for having a statesman like John Mousinho in this.
He'll know the
fight.
strengths more than other managers
Exactly.
do, and that's the key thing there.
Longest serving manager in the Championship.
Is he actually?
Is John
Yeah.
Mousinho, yeah. I think he's getting on 3 and a bit years, maybe.
Okay.
I don't know the exact number, but I know he's the longest serving. Last thing I wanted to finish on, guys, just because it made me laugh. What on earth was Jack Robinson doing at Birmingham City? I think it's the funniest penalty I've ever seen given away in the Championship, Justin.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen this on Sunday League quite often, where you just don't hear the
Oh,
whistle.
and the ref really loving giving the penalty.
yeah.
He was pressured into it, though. The Sheffield United players weren't going to let him get away with it.
Well, fair play.
They were right.
Yeah, they were bang on. But it had to be Jack Robinson, who I think, he's tried a couple of games where he's looked top class, but more often than not for Birmingham this season, he's had a bit of a calamity, and that's just summarised there. He was taken off at half time as well, which poor old Robbo.
Sum it up. I couldn't believe it when I watched it back. Unbelievable.
James Beadle looked very guilty. He didn't help Robinson at all. There. Could have got away with. We weren't ready. We hadn't started, but the penalty was missed. What a bonkers game that was.
I know,
as well, yeah.
and the red card as well. Yeah, absolutely bonkers. But two teams who have massively underperformed this season probably will be disappointed with their season. We're going to talk about the race for the playoffs quickly because we've got Justin, a Derby fan, on. What do you make of Derby's chances at the moment? We've talked about Southampton a fair bit. We've talked about Wrexham. It does feel like Hull are catchable. Derby, as it stands, what are you, 6 points off? Game in hand tonight.
Maybe if it was next season, the 8th place, that'd be lovely, wouldn't it? But I think,
Touche.
I think. They just don't seem to have enough, and especially with consistency. Don't get me wrong, that one of, I think, 2 teams this season have won 5 in a row, along with Coventry, which is nice, but that happened a long time ago, or back in October. I think they concede a lot of really daft goals, especially from set pieces. That's a problem, and they don't start games very well. That's happened all season. I don't know why it's not been remedied. I think that's the thing that's holding them back from being a really convincing team that can be a top 6 side. You look at Southampton, their relentlessness and ruthlessness, that's the key thing, and Wrexham don't seem to be stopping either. So they're the 2 teams that they've got to be better than, and right now I just don't see that being the case.
Is it a consistency issue with the home and away form? Because you were one of the best away teams in the league earlier in the season. In the last month, it looks to have flipped around a bit. Is there any reason for that?
I think it's just been taking chances. I mentioned the Hull game earlier where Derby created an insane amount.
And at 2-2 as well, yeah.
It was ridiculous, and he didn't take the chances against Millwall. I think Millwall were largely the better side, but in the last 10-15 minutes, Derby could have scored 3 or 4, and they didn't. I think it's a little bit of an element of tired legs. Patrick Adjumang, bless him, he's had a really long season. He came in with a hernia problem, didn't really get going until October, and he's been the main man, probably because Carlton Morris has been injured.
I was going to say, you can see why Eustace just keep putting him out. He's been class, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been fantastic, but I can see an element of fatigue in there, and I think that's probably an element with a couple of players. But Ryan Bruce has sparked up again with form, which is brilliant, and Carlton Morris is coming back to full fitness, which again is great time to do it at this time of season. So I think, the consistency is a problem, but I think Derby have not had a fully strength squad for the entire season. There's been 3 or 4 major injuries at every point this season, which I know a lot of teams can make that reason for, but with a team who's just got going and just assembled, I think it's quite important to have a fully fit squad. And John Hughes is not really known his best shape or his best squad until probably two months ago.
Yeah, and you can see that with the results as well. Where would you be drawing the line at now, Ben, in terms of playoff chances? Because I've sort of, in my mind, ruled Birmingham out, and they're only a point behind Derby, but the playoff chasers there, Wrexham, do have games in hand on Birmingham. I think it's a real shame that Norwich had such an appalling start, because they are now 9 points off. But if they were a handful of points closer, they'd be in with a great shout.
It's difficult, because do you do it based on the league table and points, or do you look at the power of the squads of Wrexham and Southampton and say, well, forget the points, you're going to overpower those squads, and they're kind of there at the moment. Birmingham, you could argue, could do it. I'll bow to Justin's superior knowledge on Derby, but if there's a consistency issue, then that doesn't get you in the playoffs. I don't know. It feels like if they're the big bullies, the Hollywood team and the Year One parachute team, going to say, no, that's where we're drawing the line. You could see that. I was interested that you making your point about Alex Neil. I was interested that Chris Davies almost kind of last week said, looks a long way now, and Birmingham are capable of winning five in a row. But do we get a mad sprint now? In which case, it's going to be very hard for Derby downwards. Everyone will sit and go, but points, and even like with someone like Norwich, you actually add up what these teams would need to do, and you're looking at, I don't know, 6 wins, a draw, and a defeat from the last 8.
Norwich probably need 20 points, and they do have 9 games left. 20 points would take them to 71, and that's not even guaranteed to be enough.
I think we need to remember the last 8 games are not normal. Yeah. You get these crazy games involving the sides going for autos, and all of a sudden Oxford win 10 points in 4 games, and you can go away to Luton like at the end of last season and lose. So, yeah, as much as the only information we've got to track against is what's happened in 2026, as Daniel Farker, we quote a lot about, it's far more difficult to win a game in April than it is in October, even if it's the same 2 teams playing in the same stadium with the same players, because the context and the psychology is just so different.
And I just think, Justin, the playoffs are shaping up to be like sharks in a tank. There's these playoff teams. It's going to be imagine we get an Ipswich versus Southampton semi-final, and let's just say, for example, sorry Hull fans, Millwall versus Wrexham semi-final. That is a brilliant set of playoffs.
It is. I like the mix of industry as well. Yeah. Industrial football, along with some good attacking pragmatism as well. It's probably the most tactile teams you can put in there as well. Across 2 legs, it would be really, really positive. But again, when we're talking about those 4 teams, Millwall being the underdog all the way through, that would be an interesting story, especially if they get all the way through to the final.
And how, if it's Ipswich or Middlesbrough or Millwall or even Coventry, how will the team dropping out of the top 2 and missing out on it deal with playing a team in such good form?
Only Middlesbrough who'd be dropping out of the top 2, because Ipswich have barely been. Well, someone will tell us in the comments how many days Ipswich have even been in there, haven't they? But that looks like, if it's Southampton or Wrexham, you might be better off finishing 4th than 3rd. But we say this every year, don't we?
Helped Sunderland last season.
Yeah, there you go.
You have to mention that.
Such a genius, terrible run, yeah.
Yeah, well done, mate. All right, let's preview a few of the games coming up. We've got one on Tuesday night, Watford versus Wrexham. I'm fairly confident the Wrexham are going to go there and get something, probably go and win this game, to be honest, Justin.
Yeah, I like the way they set up away from home. I think it's a good Phil Parkinson setup where they can be quite pragmatic, but also they press quite aggressively. When they came to Derby at Pride Park earlier on in the season, I was really, really impressed and a little bit surprised. But against a Watford side who it's really not sure which one's going to turn up. Really not sure which one's going to turn up. But I think with Wrexham, they are pretty consistent and they're really good at responding to a defeat as well, which is a big thing. I know they're coming in off the back of the Swansea win, but this run of form that they need to maintain, they seem to just keep everything at arm's length and come against a Watford side who are inexperienced as well. I think that's a key point. That could be a nice one for Wrexham, yeah.
I thought we'd see Broadhead step up in the absence of Keith Moore, and I know it's Sam Smith leading the line at the minute because he's injured, but I didn't think they'd be this consistent without him, Ben.
Been consistent without Keith Moore's not in there. James is not in central midfield, and Chief is not, and there was another central midfielder. Dobson was suspended as well. Yeah. So essentially, if you're Parky 3-man central midfield, that might be the first 3 on the two. Although O'Brien's really good, isn't he?
I think that's where teams have had success this season, by the way, is when players have been out, the squad drop off isn't as noticeable.
Are you suggesting the teams with the most money and the best squads end up at the top of the division, Simon Lillibury?
Well, there is ingenious analysis here on the Sportsman Untitled. I don't think Cov have got the most money, but top of the league anyway. Go on, man.
No, they've traded very, very well to raise that money, though, haven't they, with Harmer and Jokeris. I just wanted to mention Iran Kunda, because at the start of the season, we're like, who's this guy slamming free kicks in? That goal was superb at the weekend. I wonder if Edward Still's kind of going, well, I'm new in here and this guy's just wrapped one in the top corner. I'm making my prediction that Iran Kunda next season will be the Watford guy who's then going to get sold on for 50 million quid once he kind of figures out Championship and English football. But Justin's totally right. I don't care. Coventry, Middlesbrough, Ipswich. If loser, Iran Kunda, Czech Batarza all play and turn up, Watford beat anybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Bang on.
Score predictions? I'm going to go for a 2-1 away win here, Justin.
I'll go 3-2. I like a high scoring one with these two.
Yeah. Wrexham, yeah?
Yeah, Wrexham.
Where is it? Is it Watford?
It's at Vicarage Road, yeah.
0-1.
The opposite. Blackburn versus Borough. We are going to preview, of course, Millwall Ipswich on the Sportsman Untitled Extra later in the week, so stay tuned for that one. But Blackburn Borough, can Borough bounce back? If they follow my theory of being better away from home, yes, they can.
Yeah, they can. I mean, Blackburn, you don't expect him to get a result at Millwall. And with that, they had a couple of good results when Michael O'Neill came in and they dropped off. And they felt like they started to feel sorry for themselves. And against the Borough side, you can't afford to do that. They've got to really stand up. And if they do, maybe they can get a result. But given that Borough are in a point, I think, of desperation now, because I think this is a game where you go, is pressure there for Borough? Because if it is, they struggle, they don't get results, you go, okay, they're going to drop out of that top two. And if they show up and they do what they did against Birmingham, for example, then this could be quite a bad one for Blackburn. So again, like similar to Watford, which Borough side is going to show up? Is it the one that wants to put things right, or is it the one that's going to let the pressure be told?
And what do you think?
I think it'll be a Borough win.
I'm going to go 3-1 Borough. I'm pretty confident they'll bounce back here, Ben.
Yeah, I agree with both of you. I think you get the bounce back. I assume because of the geography that Darwin end will be absolutely rammed full of. They feel like home games sometimes. Those ones at the end of the season when people are taking big followings up to Blackburn. I do think the pressure is going to be on, but I think pitch, if it's okay, I think Borough will probably quite like this as a matchup. Other than the these early kickoffs on a Saturday, but there's no midweek round for Blackburn or Borough, so I would imagine. It's two sides with striking issues of different. Blackburn have got two fit strikers. It's just down to the forwards in this one. If the Borough kind of chance conversion is anywhere near competent, I'd make them winners. Yeah.
It might help them that they're kicking off at 12:30. Ipswich Millwall is at 12:30 as well, but Coventry in the late kickoff away at Swansea. Can they bounce back from this Southampton win? Swansea Cop, what do you reckon?
Probably. I think they can. I think it's quite difficult to say. I do
Swansea are quite good at home under Vitor Matos.
They're very good at home. I think they're underselling that. Yeah,
they are. They are impressive, and I think again they're a side that do fluctuate a fair bit. But in how they press, in how they get at teams, I think they can respond. And I think, like I said, that they've been quite good at home under Matos.
Score prediction, Justin.
I'll go 2-1.
I'm going to go for a 2-0 Cov win and a rare clean sheet.
I think this is a lovely game for Coventry because we did Ipswich Swansea, and the conclusion was Swansea are a really nice team to watch. And if you've got better players, then you'll probably beat them. So I think it'll be a really, really good game. But I've really enjoyed watching Swansea lose 2-0 at Wrexham, play some lovely stuff and really nice, like 3-man midfield rotations and stuff. Could get a bit more out of the wingers, but no, I think this is an away win. Probably both teams to score, probably like a 2-1 or something to Cov, I think.
One slight concern I'll finish with, Hadji Wright came off with a groin injury, Jack Rodoni out, Bobby Thomas out, so it'd be interesting to see if Cov do drop points here and Hadji Wright's out for a little bit.
Who's the centre-back pairing now?
On Saturday it was Wolfenden and Kitching, but Latibodio I would expect to come back in against his former club.
That's been really fascinating. If Coventry do go on and win the title, the 4 different centre-back kind of pairings for chunks of the season. Yeah,
and also it explains why I think Carl Rushworth should win Player of the Season, because he's been playing behind a defence that's changing every week and been absolutely superb. Right, we better finish the show, lads, otherwise producer Seb will shout at me. Thank you both very much for joining me. Next week, I'm not here, but it's going to be Conor McGilligan hosting with Callum Fowler and Statman Dave, so make sure you tune in for that one. And stay tuned later in the week, because I'll be joined with these two as we talk about Ipswich and Millwall. We'll see you then.